Hello, everybody. My name is April Wright, and I'm here to introduce Kym Connolly, the Dietitian Down Under. We are producing a podcast called the Women's Mind.Body.Health podcast, and today she is just going to sum up one of our podcasts about a very unique study that we have recently learned about. Well, she has known about it for a while, but I have recently learned about it, and it's very insightful. So here's Kym.
All right, so we've just completed our podcast called The Battle of the Diets, and this podcast was about how to lose weight using different models of study. So we thought what we'd do is give you a quick summary of the study and really bring out the salient points in that particular study, because most of us are interested in weight loss. It's a rising problem internationally, and we're curious about what we've got to do to lose weight. So this study was done in 2008 by Christopher Gardner from Stanford University, and it's unique in that it took 4 popular diet books and said, okay, we've got these 4 different ways of losing weight. Why don't we see if women, number one, can do it using these diet books, but also which one gives you the best results. So this is a brief overview of that. So what they did was take about 300 women and randomize them to these 4 different diets. And one diet was the Atkins diet, which is a very low carb, high fat diet. And then another diet was the zone diet, which you may have heard about. And that's kind of like a 30-30-30, meaning that it's about a third of your calories or kilojoules from fat, a third from carbohydrate, and then a third from proteins. The third diet was the traditional diet. So that's kind of our pyramid guideline sort of diet, where we have a bit more carbohydrate again and a bit less fat again than the 2 previous models. And then the fourth diet was this really low fat, high carbohydrate diet referred to as the Ornish diet. And these were 4 popular diet books. And the idea of the study was to randomize women into these 4 groups and go, oh, which of these diets works? And the study was 12 months long. And at the end of 12 months, there was only really 2 groups that were worth comparing, because they were the only 2 that really showed a statistical difference in weight loss, which is what they were measuring. And at 12 months, we had the Atkins diet on one extreme and the Ornish diet, the very low fat one, on the other extreme, which tended to morph really into the traditional diet. So no one maintained a particular distribution of nutrients in the way the diet books had indicated, and they kind of morphed into what really became a low carb model of eating versus the traditional model of eating. And interestingly, the Atkins, the low carb-ish diet, did better than the traditional diet, and it did better in terms of weight loss. And then we sort of go on to discuss a bit about the secondary effect in this that was measured, and that is the risk, the cardiovascular risk. Because if you're talking about telling people to eat more fat, we've associated that in the past with weight gain, number one, but also an increased cardiovascular risk. So in that, we sort of look at the other really significant point in this study, which was that the Atkins diet improved all of your cardiovascular risk factors as well. And that's counterintuitive to anything that has been said previously. So that's why this study was quite interesting, the battle of the diets, because we had 2 unexpected results. Number one, if you ate more fat, you actually lost more weight, because potentially it's to do with the volume of carbohydrate that you're eating. And number 2, your cardiovascular risk factors actually went down compared to all other diets when you ate more fat and less carbohydrate. So they were 2 really interesting results. And from there, we sort of go on to discuss, well, not only that, but different women who are the same weight and height can actually be at greater cardiovascular risk or less. And part of that study was also looking at this insulin resistance factor, and we go on to sort of really nut that out a bit more in the podcast about, well, who's at risk and how is this insulin resistance connected to the type of diet that you use. So yeah, just a bit of an overview of what we did in that podcast, sort of talking about this battle of the diets for weight loss. Who's winning at losing was the title of the study and the YouTube by Chris Gardner. So if you're interested, then by all means hop across and have a listen, I should say, to that podcast. But yeah, takeaway messages from that were that the Atkins versus the traditional diet did better after this 12-month study of women who were premenopausal, by the way, so that age group 25 to 50, but were overweight or obese. So interesting study, and it really highlights our need to be a little bit more proactive in trying to interpret studies and what's happening in real life. So lovely to talk to you all, and hope you enjoyed that. Thanks.